Fried chicken would definitely be part of my last meal. Freaking love fried chicken.
Take a seat, it's family meal. There's a new menu every episode. These are the real dishes I cook for my family. The ingredients can easily be found, they're affordable, and there's no fancy equipment. It's just real cooking for real people. On the menu is the most juicy, crispy Japanese-style fried chicken, chicken karaage, ooey gooey cheesy corn, and really bright pick-me-up pickle rice. This menu can be done in the time that it takes to cook rice. So the first thing we'll do is wash our rice really well, get off that excess starch, and put it in to cook. We're also going to preheat our oven to 180 degrees Celsius.
Skin on, bone in chicken thighs. These are about half the price of skinless, boneless chicken thighs. So that's the main reason I'm using them today. They're just cheaper. But the other thing is the skin's going to crisp up really nicely. It's going to give great flavor and it's not going to bother us at all. I'm going to show you a really easy way to get that bone out though. And those bones aren't going to go to waste. Those bones can be frozen and used later for soups or stocks. Nothing's going to go to waste here.
Flip the thigh skin side down and have the bone running horizontally in front of you. Then using the tip of a sharp knife, cut right along the bone on either side. This will free the bone up so you can get the tip of the blade just under it and then very carefully push it through so it clears under the bone. Don't go through the meat. Then with the blade slightly angled up so it's against the bone, slice away from you. This releases that bone. And then cut the remaining attached end.
The chicken pieces are all in the bowl. I'm going to add some ground ginger. You could absolutely use fresh ginger, just make sure it's grated really, really finely, or you just use the juice of the ginger. If you use fresh ginger and the pieces aren't fine enough, they're actually gonna burn when we fry the chicken. So ground ginger is a really great way to get that aroma and that slight flavor without having to risk burning any of the ingredients. I'm also adding garlic powder exactly for the same reason. If I were to grate in fresh garlic or mince up fresh garlic and stick it in, it's really hard to avoid those bits burning. So garlic powder in. Again, aroma and that flavor. I'm gonna add some ground pepper. I'm gonna give that a good mix up first. Because the spices are in powder form, it's gonna mix really, really nicely with the soy sauce and the sake. So it's just gonna be able to coat everything. And then when we dredge this in our starch, it's actually gonna create a protective layer. So you don't risk really burning any of these spices. Now we're gonna add in some light soy sauce. We're gonna add in some sake. Now, if you don't have sake, you could use something like mirin, which is slightly sweeter, or you could use a white wine, or you could just leave it out entirely. Give it a really good mix. Make sure everything is nicely coated. And we'll just set that aside for 10 minutes while we get all the other ingredients ready.
We'll need spring onions for both the pickle rice and the cheesy corn, so I'm finely slicing about 3 large ones. Now obviously we want pickles in the pickle rice, so I'm using these little cornichons. You can use whatever pickles you like. I'm using a small handful, about 12 of them, and I just chop them finely. And now pickled ginger, exactly like the pink stuff you get from sushi joints. Just a nice handful will do, roughly chopped. And now let's assemble the cheesy corn. In an oven-safe dish, lightly oil all surfaces, and then we'll add about 400 to 500 grams of frozen corn kernels. Add a good 3 tablespoons of kewpie mayonnaise. You could use other mayo, but I find kewpie has a really good seasoning to it. I'm not going to add any salt to this. And add about a loose cup of shredded mozzarella. You could use other shredded cheese, but it probably won't have the same stretchy effect. Now in with about 1/3 of the spring onions we sliced and some cracked black pepper. Now give it a really good mix. Make sure everything gets coated in the mayo and the cheese is dispersed. Then spread it all out in one layer in the dish and then add another cheeky sprinkle of cheese. Now into the oven 180 degrees for about 20 minutes.
There's a unique type of starch that we're going to use to coat our chicken before we fry it, and it's potato starch. Potato starch will give it a lighter, crisper sort of shell coating. It won't have that same effect that plain flour does. However, the combination of plain flour and potato starch, I find, creates the perfect sort of density and crunch in that batter. Now, if you can't find potato starch, you can use cornstarch or corn flour. If you can't find that either, you could use tapioca flour or just keep it to plain flour. It totally doesn't matter. So this will be a mixture of 50-50 potato starch to plain flour. Season generously with salt and then give it a really good mix up. Then give the chicken a good stir and pick up only 1 or 2 pieces at a time, coating them completely in the flour mixture. You can give them a little shake to get rid of any excess. Repeat for all the pieces of chicken, allowing them to sit coated in the flour for about 5 minutes. This just really helps the flour absorb some of that moisture and really stick to the chicken. Now heat up a pan of oil to medium-high heat. The oil is ready to fry when a wooden chopstick or handle placed in the oil bubbles actively. Now we'll only fry a handful of pieces of chicken at a time, making sure not to overcrowd the pan. And look, if the oil doesn't reach all the way over the chicken, we can just flip them halfway. But here's my trick. We're gonna double fry the chicken. So the first fry only has to be about 90 seconds, just until it's lightly golden. Then we'll take them out and place them on a rack over a tray to drain and continue cooking in that residual heat. Repeat with all the chicken in batches, allowing the oil to heat back up for about 30 to 40 seconds between each batch. Now once you've fried all the batches of chicken once, let the oil get even hotter. Just let it heat up for a good 2 to 3 minutes. Then fry the same batches again for only 90 seconds. Just look at this color difference. That's what you want, a deep golden brown. This is all the fried chicken porn you're gonna want. And because we're using high heat over short bursts of time, we have got super juicy chicken. I'm serving the karaage with shichimi togarashi, or Japanese 7-spice. It's a spicy blend of chili, pepper, sesame, and our absolute must-have, kewpie mayonnaise. Also a couple of lemon wedges, and just far out, look at that, irresistible. Our cheesy corn is done too, and oh man, what a sight. It's so cheesy, creamy, and the color around the edges, oh yes. Now all that's left to do is mix our freshly steamed rice, look at that, so fluffy, with our pickle mix. For texture and savory flavor, I'm adding toasted sesame seeds and snipped up roasted seaweed. And it looks so pretty, just like confetti rice, yay! And that's the whole meal done. Let's eat. That crispy, juicy fried chicken pairs perfectly with the sweet, creamy, cheesy corn. You get a total play of textures going on. And then to relieve all of those rich, buttery flavors, you get pops of brightness from the pickle rice. I absolutely love this meal, and it makes for a pretty great packed lunch to be reheated too.